August 16, 2017. Is it? Yeah, August 16, 2017. I'm terrible with dates. Always been terrible with dates. Always will be terrible with dates. But here we go. Once again, I'm back. What Lonzo Thinks. Episode number 2. Got a lot to talk about. Lots going on. Got the music going. Sounding groovy. Once again, thanks a lot, Jake, for my theme song. Across Himalayan plains in a sheath of wolfskin. What that means, I don't know, but that's my theme song. Me and my brother came up with it. Well, my brother did the music. We came up with the concept, and it's a great intro to What Lonzo Thinks. All right, here we go. Where do I start? Let's guess. 45. He did it again. And who's surprised? I'm not surprised. I was expecting it. Yeah, I'm like, what took you so long, fool? He did it again. He went at it and put his foot back in his mouth. Okay, isn't this really funny? All right, we know what happened over the weekend. It's been talked about ad nauseum, so no, I'm not going to get back into the minutia of what happened in Charlottesville. It's not worth going over again at this point because it's been done to death. And so has anything involving 45. It's been done to death. And I'm kind of sick of even thinking about it, much less talking about it. But sometimes you got to just get it out of your system and move on and look at, what's next on the agenda. But I'm going to dig in for a few minutes, give my thoughts, and just kind of see where this takes me. I'll try not to be rude or crass or use too much foul language and shit. At least I'll try not to. Well, anyways, he did it again. After the weekend, he came out with that BS statement that criticized party's own many sides, quote, many sides. I think he's going to have a hard time living down those words, many sides. So he comes back and gives that crappy, formulaic, canned, unbelievable, nowhere near passionate statement criticizing and calling out the Nazis, KKK, alt-right, all those other people that out there that are trying to raise havoc in our great society. And some people fell for it. I didn't. Folks with sense didn't fall for it. We knew it wasn't his true words from his heart. His aides finally, I guess, got through to him, and all the pressure and all the criticisms that came at him finally was enough to where he's like, okay, I'll come out here and I'll say something to kind of calm this stuff down. But it wasn't from his heart. He didn't believe it. He didn't want to say it. It's like he was like a petulant child up there, being admonished by his parents to apologize for doing something he did wrong. And he was doing it just to kind of save face. But it wasn't from the heart. So he couldn't help himself. So today, or shall I say yesterday, he has another press conference about something else, about some infrastructure bill or executive order that he was taking care of. And he wasn't even supposed to, I guess, take questions, but he couldn't help himself. Like any narcissist, he couldn't help himself. And he took his foot out of his mouth and stuck it right up his ass and made a bad situation even worse by once again refusing to outright denounce the haters, the Nazis, the KKK, all these right-wing groups that are once again causing so much havoc in our society today, by also placing blame on the anti-protesters, the liberals, who are trying to stand up for what is right, which is stamping out this racism and white supremacy, and trying to bring people together. Now, I'll be the first to say that two wrongs don't make a right, but it does make it even. And this is a situation where, if the liberals or if the anti-protesters raised up and fought back, I say so be it. It's not like they started the fight. But damn it, if you throw a punch, expect to get a punch thrown back at you. I mean, come on. That's real life. If somebody hits you, you're going to hit them back. You can't always turn the other cheek, because if you turn the other cheek, you're going to get punched in that cheek. And if you turn your back, you're going to get kicked in the ass. So the time comes where you have to kind of stand up and do what is right. And that is what the anti-protesters are doing. They're doing what is right, which is letting these idiots know that we're not going to stand for this anymore. It's not 1950, it's 2017, and we don't have to put up with it anymore. We're standing together, white, black, Latino, Asian, Native American. We're all standing together to fight these idiots face to face. And the best thing that he could say is that the alt left, which whatever that is, I guess that's his counter to the alt right, was just as responsible. And it's been said many times since he put his foot in his mouth and made those comments that you can't look at it that way. You can't say that there are fine people, which I quote, he said, fine people on the alt-right or with the protesters of the KKK, that they were fine people, that some of the people were fine people. No. If you ride with Nazis and you stand with Nazis and you protest with Nazis, then damn it, you're a Nazi. You can't be a little pregnant. You can't roll with a crew and not be part of that crew. You can't roll with a set and not be a part of that set. You can't wear a uniform and not be a part of that team. Just like saying the kicker is not part of the football team just because all he does is kick. No. He's an Atlanta Falcon just like the rest of the Atlanta Falcons. He doesn't get any type of dispensation because all he does is kick. Same difference. So, newsflash. Water is wet and our president is a racist. We know it. I know it. You know it. Deny it all you want. He's a racist. He backs the white supremacists. He made it clear this weekend. It's something we already knew. His supporters, they're going to continue to turn a blind eye to it. So it's to the point now where you can't even convince. If someone is supporting this guy, then at this point, there's no turning them around. They're a lost cause. So trying to convince someone who supports this insult of a president, they're too far gone. They're just like him. So at this point, I think it's okay to make a generalization when it comes to this situation because it is what it is. You're with him. You voted for him. You support him. He's a racist. Then damn it, you're a racist too. If you don't like it, that's your problem, not mine. Like I said, if you're wearing an Atlanta Falcons jersey with a helmet on, shoulder pads, standing on the sideline on game day, you're a Falcon. Okay? You're a Falcon. If you're part of the team, you're 100% in. You're not 10% in just because all you do is kick. Same difference. You can't say, well, he was going to drain the swamp and he was going to change things in Washington, so that's why I voted for him. No, that's not why you voted for him. It might be your justification for voting for him, but you had to co-sign all the other bullshit that comes with him. The pussy grabbing and all the racist comments that he's made, and his willingness to accept the support of white supremacists. You can't distance yourself from that. You can't. You can justify it all you want, but it is what it is. So I'm here to state the obvious. Our president is a racist. It makes me sick. It should make you sick too. And if it doesn't make you sick, then I got problems with you. And I hope you can look at yourself in the mirror every day for the next 3 some odd years until he's out of here. I hope you can go to work and look at your coworkers. I hope some of them are black or Latino or you name it, and look them square in the eye and work with them, knowing that you support a racist, you voted for a racist, so by proxy, you are a racist too. And I hope you feel good about yourself, because this guy has made our country a joke. He has turned the most powerful position in the world into a laughingstock. Not only domestically, but also abroad. Nobody respects him at all. So thank you. You know what you did. I made a bit of a comparison to the Titanic when it comes to 45 and his supporters. The Titanic was considered unsinkable. People had the utmost faith in this ship, this bastion of technology, of steel and opulence that could float and carry thousands of people, and it was deemed unsinkable, and it was the greatest ship ever, at its time. And of course, it hit an iceberg and it sunk. And those people who said that, who felt that it was unsinkable, drowned with it. Same thing with Trump supporters. They're on a sinking ship. They're on the Titanic. Trump is the Titanic. And just like the Titanic, he is not unsinkable. He can get got. I don't mean it in a violent way. I would never say anything violent needs to happen to him or anyone else that supports him. Violence is not the answer. But he can get got through our system of checks and balances and our legal system. He can be impeached. He should be impeached. That's been said before, so I'm not going to get into all that. But he should be. I'm hoping that it will be sooner than later. And give Mike Pence a shot. Yeah, Pence is probably just as bad as him, but at least it appears that Pence has the sense, to keep his sheet in the closet, and at least put forth some sort of facade that even though he's with him, that he can kind of put his prejudices aside and try to do what's right. And I know Pence, he's a bit of a religious zealot, so to speak, and he definitely has his warts, and he would never be my choice for president. But at this point, he's next in line. What the hell? Give him a shot. He's the backup quarterback. Okay? Your starting quarterback ain't getting the job done. He's not moving offense. He has a noodle for an arm. He's throwing too many interceptions. He's fumbling the ball too much. Nobody's willing to block for him anymore. He's kind of like Willie Beeman in Any Given Sunday. You remember that movie when the team finally had enough of his ego and they was like, we're not gonna block for you in that game where it's raining and he just getting pummeled. They're not blocking for him, and the entire defense just beating the shit out of him. That's for all intents and purposes is that kind of situation now where just get Cherubini off the bench and get him in there, or Cap Rooney. It was Cap Rooney. Yeah, Cherubini and Cap Rooney. Get Cap Rooney back in there and let's see if he can right this ship and at least get us to the playoffs and same difference. Let's get Pence in there and see what he can do, because obviously Trump is the worst president in the history of the presidency. By far. And he's less than a year in. And dumpster fire is being kind when you come to discussing 45 and his ability to lead and inspire people. All he has done is drive us apart. And people say, well, Obama drove us apart too. Nah, Obama didn't drive anybody apart. You drove yourself apart because you hate him because he was black. But once again, not going to go there right now. So a lot of this came from the removal of a statue. General Robert E. Lee. That's where all this stuff started. Maybe it's not where it started, but at least it was the thing that lit the fire this weekend. And now the thing about statues and remnants of the Confederacy are really moving to the forefront. In 45, he did address that in his stupid statement yesterday by saying, what's next? You're going to take down George Washington's statue and things of that nature. Well, last time I checked, George Washington wasn't a Confederate general. We'll say George Washington owned slaves, and Thomas Jefferson owned slaves, and so on and so forth. Well, a lot of folks owned slaves back then. Not justifying anything. If George Washington owned slaves, or Thomas Jefferson owned slaves, or whomever owned slaves, shame on you. Okay? Shame on you. And that's terrible. And yeah, that should be an asterisk on their legacy as well. But at the same time, they weren't fighting against their fellow man in the Civil War. They helped put this nation together and got it started. Maybe it didn't get started the right way, but at least they got it started. He put the key in the ignition, got the car moving. And when they got from behind the wheel, other more astute people grabbed the wheel and moved and steered it in a better direction. So nobody's absolving Thomas Jefferson, George Washington, or any other of those so-called founding fathers and their transgressions. No. But what the Confederacy stands for, especially when it comes to minorities, black people, slaves, or descendants of slaves, is something far-reaching and more repugnant. And I understand from one point of view that these bastions of the Confederacy represent more than just the oppression of a people. It is a source of pride for people who believe in it, who come from the South and whose lineage is based in the South. I get that, and it's okay to have pride in those things. But when it's in a public area, that is where you need to pause for a moment and look at things in a different light. Because it's one thing to have that statue in your backyard. It's another thing when it's in the middle of the town square, because that represents everybody, not just you. If you want to have a Nazi flag in front of your house, that's you. That's your property. You can do what you want with it. But we shouldn't fly a Nazi flag at City Hall. So why should we have a Confederate general in front of City Hall or in the town square or wherever? Because everybody who walks by that or drives by that are not going to feel the same way you feel about it. They might be offended by it. It might hurt other things. It might hurt commerce. It might hurt tourism, things of that nature. People are, hey, wait a minute, I don't want to visit this area and spend my money because, damn it, they have a statue of Stonewall Jackson or whomever here in the middle of the town square. I don't want to sit out here and eat pizza staring at that thing. So let's go somewhere else. I mean, there's a lot behind it because everybody sees things differently. And if everybody can't agree on something like that, then why have it? It's divisive. It's got to go. It represents a time where our country was in some ways at its worst, and it represents something that remembers a dark time in our history, and there's no place for it now. It might have been a place for it back then when it was built, or when that statue was put up. It might have been more appropriate for that time, but it's 2017, and that time has come and gone. And people say the same thing. Well, if there's a statue of Martin Luther King Jr., that can be offensive to people as well. Take that down too. No, no. Last time I checked, Martin Luther King didn't own a slave. He wasn't an oppressor. He was someone who tried to do the right thing and move people in a positive direction. So once again, it's not apples and oranges. I mean, it is apples and oranges, not apples and apples. I used to live in Macon, Georgia, which is about, I guess, 60, 70 miles south of Atlanta. And I just saw an article posted on Facebook by a friend of mine, Felicia Kaysen, good friend of mine. She's white. She posted it, and it made me think, because there are some Confederate statues in Macon. I lived in Macon for a long time, almost 15 years, I guess, for a long time. That's where I met my wife, and my kids were born in Macon. So Macon has a special place in my heart. I grew up in Warner Robins, which is about 20 miles south of Macon. So Macon has always been a part of my history in my life. So the city means a lot to me, and I know the exact statue that this article was referring to, and it's actually outside of a pizzeria that I usually like to go to down there in Macon. They had the best pizza in Macon. I forget the name of it. I'm not going to plug them anyway, but I forget the name of it. But it's really good pizza, and I would go there often, like on lunch, and this statue is like right outside the pizzeria. I would look at it, and I never really focused on it or thought much about it as far as who it was, and I don't think it's any like famous type general or anything. I think it's like an unknown Confederate soldier. I've taken a picture of it, and I never liked it in the fact that it was there, but I kind of just blew it off. But in light of what's happened over the last few days, yeah, I can see how people want that statue taken down as well. And I think there's been some talk about local officials about being proactive and moving it somewhere else. So good for them if they're deciding to do that, and hopefully it won't cause some sort of controversy, and hopefully there won't be any type of demonstrations in Macon or anything like that. I hope diplomacy is going to rule the day, and I did see some comments from council members wanting to kind of be proactive and do something, some bipartisan agreement to address, the statue in Macon. So the Confederate statues, I understand both sides of that situation, but I think for the greater good, those need to come down. If you want to create some sort of a park or something, or some sort of area where the Confederate statues can be displayed, and I get that, maybe in a museum or something where people can pay or make donations or something to gain access and take a look at these things. I get it, but not in a place where it's kind of representing everybody. That's a bit much. So I'm hoping that what's happening in Virginia is going to motivate officials in other parts of the country to be proactive and try and kind of look at what they have in their areas that might be considered offensive, and maybe get with both sides, the right and the left, and come to some sort of agreement on how to move forward and how to address this without it dissolving into violent protests and things of that nature. Also, I did see that there are some protests scheduled for, I think, later on this weekend, and moving forward in some other cities, Boston specifically. And the mayor of Boston came on television, and I think it was CNN that he was on, and he made it pretty clear that they were trying to dissuade the protesters from, I think, some sort of march they want to do in Boston, trying to dissuade them from protesting there. He said that they have put in their application, and that they've put a lot of restrictions on as far as in the terms that they would have to abide by in order to get their permit to march. And he did say things like no weapons can be allowed. I guess Massachusetts or Boston is not an open carry area, so you can't have your guns out like these guys were in Virginia. No sticks or anything like that. I guess so. No torches, things of that nature are going to be allowed, and hopefully, placing those restrictions will convince them to not want to march there. And I applaud that. I think that's a good proactive measure because you can't deny them the right for peaceful assembly. That's a right that should be upheld, and I support that. If the KKK wants to get together and have a rally, by all means do it. Nobody has to pay attention to you. We don't have to go down there and deal with that. As long as it's a peaceful assembly, they got the right to do it. And just like the folks who counter protest have the right to go out there and counter protest, as long as it doesn't dissolve into violence, it should be all good. So I'll never begrudge anyone their right to assemble and to protest or do whatever it is they want to do at that assembly, as long as it doesn't infringe on anyone else's rights, safeties, or liberties. I'm with it. So hopefully leaders in other cities will kind of take the lead and be proactive versus reactive, and hopefully we can avoid situations like what went down in Charlottesville. So that brings me to another thought that I had in regards to 45. And someone brought up, it was an article that I read on CNN, I believe. Let me see if I can pull it up. Okay, it's an article that I think got posted today. And the title of this article is "Why This Trump Moment Might Be Different." It's written by Stephen Collison of CNN, and it was updated today, Wednesday at 8:32 a.m. And I'm going to just hit a couple areas here that I think are appropriate. And he opens the article by saying, "Donald Trump always got away with everything. The most unorthodox candidate and president in history has exhibited a near mystical capacity to evade the price of blunders that would have failed conventional politicians. If that is ever going to change, the moment may be now." And that's a great way to open an article because he's right. It's like 45. And the only reason I said his name is because I'm reading from this article verbatim, and that's the only reason why I'll ever say his name. But 45 has appeared to be made of Teflon up to this point. Everything that, no matter how reprehensible it's been, he's kind of gotten away with, all from the pussy grabbing to the other things that he's said, as far as being able to kill somebody in the middle of Times Square and not lose votes and things of that nature, has bounced off of him. And if anything is going to stick to him and hasten his demise, so to speak, this might be it. And I pray that it is. And Mr. Collison brings up a lot of different points, and you can read the article. I've posted it on my Facebook page, so if you're one of my Facebook friends, whatever, take a look at it and share it and do what you want with it, or go to CNN.com. The article is up, and he makes the point that even other Republicans are distancing themselves from 45, because it's kind of hard to defend what he's doing now. The fact that the solidarity in this party has allowed it to get to this point is sickening. But I think finally, even his staunchest supporters in the GOP are finally having enough, because eventually it's going to bring down their party. It's not going to kill the party, but it's gonna hurt those strides that they've made since he did get elected, as far as winning elections in the Senate and Congress and local elections, so on and so forth. Eventually, that trickle down is going to hurt. It's going to drive people away from the GOP. Those folks who don't want to be associated with a racist party, because, and I've said it before, if the leader of your party, which happens to be the president, if the leader of your party is racist, then you're going to get that racist dirt on you as well, whether you're racist or not. And you're going to be part of that generalization, and deservedly so, unless you distance yourself loudly and with no equivocation that this is not you. It's okay to be a Republican, but don't be a racist Republican, because it's going to get you. And one of the points that he alludes to is that, does 45 even want to be president? It's like as if he's doing as much as he possibly can to get people to hate him. And maybe he wants to be at a point where he can slide out without just standing up and say, hey, okay, I can't do this job, I quit. Just do so much reprehensible stuff to where he can bow out, and it not be such a what's the word I'm looking for? Stain on him, or it'll be some sort of a justification for him getting out versus him just waking up one day and quitting. He needs a reason, I guess, to slink out the back door. Hopefully so. And I have read articles where Mike Pence is positioning himself to run for office for the presidency after this term is up. But there might be some back channel things going on to make a smooth transition even before that comes about, and hopefully so. I don't want Pence as president either, but because of what we have now, he's the only alternative. And if you've seen House of Cards, you know things can get kind of shaky in the White House as far as all the willing and dealing and backstabbing and as Scaramucci would say, front stabbing that goes on. So hopefully it's a House of Cards type situation where there's somebody that's angling themselves to worm his way into the Oval Office and get 45 out of there. We should all be so lucky. And if you haven't seen House of Cards, it's a Netflix television show. It's a series, and it is must see. It is awesome. Kevin Spacey stars as Francis Underwood, a conniving senator who worms his way into the White House, into the Oval Office without even being elected. It's a great character study on politics and human nature and how people can be easily manipulated. So if you've never watched House of Cards, I recommend it. It's great television, and I just finished watching season 5, I think. Yeah, season 5, and shit really hit the fan. So hopefully it'll get renewed and we'll see more of it in the years to come. All right, so I've touched on what I wanted to touch on for this particular show. Hope I've made my position clear, and to reiterate and put a bow on it, like I always said, and everybody knows, 45, the president of the United States, is a racist. And if you had any doubts about that, those doubts got washed away over the last couple days. The leopard has finally shown all of his spots. The cat's out the bag. The shit is out the horse. Use whatever metaphor you want. 45 is a racist. And the fact that you voted for him, if you helped get him into office, shame on your ass. Yeah, I said it. If you don't like it, so what? Shame on your ass. And that blood is on your hands as well. He's got to go. And hopefully there are things going on in those back channels in Washington, D.C. to hasten his demise. Because it's got to be some conniving, sniveling son of a bitch working back channels to get this done. Hopefully so. Because we know what we have now is just now, it's totally unacceptable. The wheels have come off the wagon and it's time for him to go. So get off the Titanic, y'all. Get into a lifeboat, get away from him, and hopefully you won't sink. This is what Lonzo thinks. Hit me up, comment below, subscribe, visit my Patreon page, support me, help me keep this thing going. I'm not going to stop, whether you like it or not. I hope if you do have opinions, questions, comments, concerns, please hit me up. I'm not shallow. If you say something, I'm going to take it in. I'm going to respond to it, whether it's positive or negative. I don't care. You're entitled to your opinion. I'm going to respect your opinion. As long as you don't talk about my mother, we're good. Once again, this is what Lonzo thinks. WhatLonzoThinks@gmail.com. Hit me up. Website, WhatLonzoThinks.com. I'm here. I'm going to stay. I ain't going nowhere. Bye.